Yay! Hello, welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Chakra Foundations workshop. And I am one of your co-hosts here, Layla Black. Welcome. If you guys are watching the replay, if you're out there in replay land, let us know you're watching. Leave comments, leave love, so all the other ladies know how connected we are here in the Women's Connection. So I am really excited because I've seen the impact that these workshops have been having on the women who've been participating and implementing, and they've broke down some of them in tears, and they've just been really powerful for these ladies. We were just talking about this before we hit record, to have these tools, right? To understand the tools that you already have right now that can help you to heal your body, that can help you to de-stress and release anxiety and depression and all of these diseases with what you have in your hands, what is all around you right now, without having to go change anything or be anything or get anything. And it's right there within you. And that's the one thing that I'm really loving about what I'm learning in this workshop, is that I have it now. I have it now, and I can create it now. So I am really excited. If you guys are watching in replay land and you missed our talking circle for this month on Domestic Violence Awareness Month, make sure you go check it out. It's on the news feed on the wall. And leave some love for those ladies. But we had actually Cynthia's here who shared on the talking circle, and Amanda watched the replay and was, she messaged me like right away. She's like, that was an amazing talking circle. She's like, this is going to go hand in hand. It is going to fit perfectly with what we're about to learn tonight, what you're about to learn to implement in your life. So if you've dealt with trauma or abuse or emotional, physical, sexual abuse in your past, which, it's shocking how many women have. And that was one thing that I've been it blows my mind. Sometimes we've had these talking circles just to hear how many women have had some sort of sexual trauma or abuse in their past, and are still, they don't know how to move forward. They don't know how to release that or let that go, and it's controlling them in some way still. So I'm really excited that Amanda's here to share all of her wisdom. Amanda and I have been best friends since grade 6, and we go way, way back, and it's been an awesome journey for us to come together. She started as my massage therapist, and now she's an osteopath, and she is sharing this magical world of Reiki with me and chakras, and understanding my connection to this universe, to everything that's around me that I can't sometimes always see, but I can feel it. And so now I can just kind of explain it. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's all coming together. So as you're watching this, you may have those moments of like, oh yeah, okay, that kind of explains it. And you will get the tools that are going to help you to implement this into your life. So I'm going to get myself out of the way, pass it over to one of my besties in the world, a woman that I respect and admire. And she is so knowledgeable, constantly teaching me every single day. And I get to share her with all of you in the Women's Connection. So Amanda.
Thanks so much, Layla. Like Leia said, I'm Amanda Boudou. I'm really excited to be here with you tonight. Don't let the title fool you. I'm not Toby or Layla. Okay? But we just wanted to make sure that this was recorded, because it's very important information that we want to get out to everyone tonight. So we're going to actually be exploring creativity, sensuality, and sexuality tonight. So like Layla said, it really goes hand in hand with, that domestic violence. And we're really gearing the knowledge base towards understanding the healthy development of these aspects of ourselves. So, this is actually really targeting what is called our sacral plexus. So, the last couple of workshops, we're addressing more of the root chakra, and now we're getting into the second chakra, which is our sacral plexus. So, that name, sacral plexus, what is the first thing that comes to mind? It is our sacred place, right? And so when trauma and abuse really are targeted there, it's very easy to fall into that victimization and stay within there because, not saying that we aren't victims when we have been traumatized or abused, just saying that a lot of people continue to live within that space. And so I want to give you the tools today, or not even give them to you because like Layla said, you already have them within you. But I want to, bring your awareness to them so that you know that they're right in your back pocket and you can pull them out at any time that you want to. And you can really start to heal these aspects of yourself so that you can move forward and move away from that victim type mentality. Okay? So before we get started on all that juicy information, I really like to open things up in the medicine wheel sense. So I would like everybody just to introduce themselves. And then I want everyone to really think of one word of gratitude that they have for the day. It can be a generalized statement or it can be very specific to you for today. So I'm going to give my word of gratitude, and I want to actually thank the rocks today. My energy has been more mental energy today, and so I start to really feel ungrounded in a sense. So I always like to have tools around me just to remind me that I'm an earth creature, that these minerals that are within this rock are within my bones. So I'm going to give some thanks to the rocks today. So thank you, rocks. Layla, do you want to give your word of gratitude?
Sure. So I was thinking about this, and I guess I'm on an energy kick too. And from that talking circle, it was just so recharging to hear the women speaking, to hear them teaching each other and learning from each other. And so my word of gratitude is women. I am grateful for the women in my life, and, celebrating today my mom's birthday, just reflecting on all of the lessons that I've learned from her, good, bad, pretty, ugly, she's taught me so much, and just taking that time to reflect on how impacted I am by the women in my life. And then, even introducing you, Amanda, it just makes me think oh my gosh, that is my best friend, and she's such an amazing person. And yeah, so women, girl power.
Girl power.
Oh, and if you're watching the replay, share your gratitude too. Just write it down, put a comment in there. And proclaim it, right? Don't keep that inside. Don't just assume that it's, of course I'm grateful for that. Actually say it and step into it and really feel it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks,
Layla. Thanks. That was a great word of gratitude. The women and sharing. Does anybody else want to go ahead with their word of gratitude? Cynthia, Evelyn, I know Lori's here. Dana's here. Anybody?
Hey there, how are you doing?
Oh.
Somebody else.
Go ahead, Cynthia. Go ahead.
All right. I'm Cynthia, and my word of gratitude is technology, because I've been able to connect with you guys and so many people all over the place around the world, and it's pretty amazing that just with technology though, that we get to experience each other's energies from thousands of miles away and feel connected and bonded with people. So it kind of goes with both what you guys were saying there, and I was like, wow, if it wasn't for technology I wouldn't be able to experience and hear this. So that's my gratitude right now. So
thank you so much for sharing that, Cynthia. if you asked me maybe a year ago about being grateful for technology, I probably would have been like, ah. But Layla's really helped me, strive through that resistance that I had with technology. So it's a beautiful thing now in my mind as well. So thanks for sharing that, Cynthia. Evelyn, do you wanna come forward?
Yes, my word of gratitude for today is mentors, and specifically, I am grateful for Louise Hay. I have learned so much from her, learning how to interpret the signals that my body is giving me, and that I can get healing through messages and through positive affirmation. So that's my word of gratitude is Louise Hay, my mentor.
Yes, so thankful for Louise. I'm pretty sure she just actually passed away a couple of months ago. So, still she's in spirit, she's still with us, and everything that she created here, she was the one who created the Hay House enterprise, and I too have learned a lot from the Hay House, and I'm very grateful for that as well. So thanks for sharing that, Evelyn. Appreciate that. Dana, did you want to go ahead and share a gratitude?
So my gratitude is, I guess, clearing or releasing. I had the opportunity to do a lot of that over this past weekend. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yes, I always love to feel that clearing sense, and that's one of the things that we love to start off with here. So in a couple of minutes here, you'll be able to get to do some more clearing, some more releasing, and hopefully with the tools tonight, you'll be able to further that experience that you had over the weekend. With all the tools that you already have in your back pocket, but we're gonna bring your awareness back to them again. So thanks for sharing that. Lori, are you able to come forward with a word of gratitude?
Sure. I don't know if I'm on video because I was doing a bunch of stuff here, but I've been thinking lots about energy as well, and then reconnecting with people and the support you get from, like Layla said, women and friends, and just even remembering people from your past that are important, like my grandma. She lived to 101, and I'm like she always comes up in my, like, thinking of a strong woman and stuff like that. So yeah, and I just am loving the support from the different groups and people, like I said, that are coming out now and supporting me or like reconnecting with me. It's really nice that we have friends and women groups for each other.
Yes, I totally agree. And Layla is one of those people that I have to give my thanks towards, because she started this women's connection and really encouraged me to, show more support towards our women community all over the world. So, gratitude to Layla as well. Vendia, do you want to come forward, or are you able to share a word of gratitude? Okay.
I don't hear her. No, I don't think she might be working too. She's a working lady. She sneaks on.
That's all right. We'll give some gratitude for her about being a sneaky listener. We're very thankful for all of you ladies for joining us. So, whether you can join in and participate, or if you're just a silent listener, that's a-okay. This is a very safe place for anybody at any capacity. I'm even one of those people that started off with just sitting in the background and listening in on, you know, Layla's talking circles, watching the replays, and not really saying too much. And that's okay. Once you start to feel a bit more comfortable, or once you're out of work and you're not preoccupied, we would love for you to join in. So thanks everyone for sharing your word of gratitude. And you know, in saying that, we'll get started on the presentation because we have a lot of material to cover tonight. And I'm going to go through a few of the meditations that I've kind of gathered to really support this knowledge base. Okay, so is everybody okay with that, getting started on this presentation? Awesome. Okay. Perfect. Oh. So like I said, we're looking at our creativity, our sensuality, and our sexuality. So I've split it up into those 3 sections. And like I said, after the creativity, we'll do a meditation, and then after the sensuality, we'll do a meditation. But before we get started, I want to open this circle in a very sacred way, because we are addressing the sacral plexus, and it is a sacred area. So I would like everybody just to settle into their seats. Okay, I want you to sit flat backed to the back of your seat. I want your feet to be flat on the ground, and everyone can just even close their eyes at this point. And what I would like you to do is I want you to just start brushing off. So, you know, like Dana said, clearing or cleansing. So in the indigenous wisdom, they use sage to clear and cleanse. If you'd like to utilize that, you are more than welcome to. In Reiki, all we use is our hands. Okay, so you know, you just start brushing yourself off. Brush off all the road dust from the day, everything that you encountered, everything that's, you know, been on your mind. Clear your mind. You can clear your eyes if you want, your mouth, your nose, your ears. Just clean yourself off. And then take a nice deep breath in, and I want you to visualize the earth energies just coming up and completely engulfing you when you breathe in. So, and then breathe out with a and when you breathe out, I want you to see all the heaven energies coming down and completely engulfing you and touching your ground base. And so we're going to do a couple more of those breaths. Breathe in the earth and down the heavens or the universe. One more time, in the earth and down the heavens and the universe. And then in your mind's eye, just right here in between your eyebrows, I just want you to picture a circle. The circle is providing a very safe space for us to speak openly and freely, speak from our hearts. And it's going to connect all of us. It's going to connect all of us in our body, our minds, our hearts, and our soul. We are one. Perfect. So I'm going to get everyone just to return back into the room so that you can now see the slides that I'm going to be presenting. And you should just feel very calm and centered and focused in on what we're doing right now. So like I said, we're covering creativity, sensuality, and sexuality. And we're going to cover creativity at first. I'm just going to see if I can... Sorry, I'm just going to try to move this over so I can see what I'm presenting here. Perfect. All right, so creativity is the act of turning new ideas or imaginative ideas into reality. It truly is manifesting. So a lot of people who've taken manifestation workshops, this is what you're doing. You're really trying to focus on manifesting your creativity. Creativity is characterized by the ability to perceive the world in new ways, to find hidden patterns, to make connections between unseemly phenomena in our world, and it may be even unrelated, but for some reason you can find that connection and you can find that relation, and you can also generate solutions. You know, my sisters always used to say that I was MacGyver because when we had a problem, I could always find a way to solve that problem, and so that's a form of my creativity. So we all have our own way of expressing our creativity. And it's really our responsibility to be able to express ourselves. So understanding our own self-expression. A lot of people, when it comes to creativity, they think that it's just in an artistic form. And this is a very false perception, okay? So how do we express? So self-expression is actually has many different roots, okay? And there are many different forms in which you can self-express. And it actually includes many of our life's activities, many of our daily routine activities. And there's a list here. And this list can really go on forever, okay? Painting, coloring, making music, starting a business, writing a memo or an article, telling a joke even, is forms of creativity. And like I said, this list can really go on forever because each and every one of us is unique, and each and every one of us is special, and it's important for us to understand our special ways of expressing ourselves. So you are creative, so just go create, right? Live your life and understand and recognize your gifted ways to express yourself. You know, I was thinking about this today, and one of the things that Layla really encourages within her mentoring through, you know, social media marketing is for people to not mimic her, for people to really understand the way that they can get their message across. And I feel that this is a very important understanding to have, is that we are all unique, and it's better relayed to an individual when it actually comes from your own heart than for you to try and be somebody else. Okay, so utilizing your own vocabulary, your own words, you know, your own slang even. These are very important things to do because so many of us vibrate at different capacities, and we attract the people that vibrate at the same capacity as us. So you really want to utilize your own form of expression when you're utilizing your creativity. Okay, so we're going to move on to sensuality, but before we do that, very, very short on creativity because it's such a broad topic, right? I really want you to all start to question what are the ways that you create? For me, I create when I'm doing manual manipulation. I feel like me being an osteopath, and a lot of my clients can attest to this, that I am different than other osteopaths they'll go to. And I feel that that's part of my creativity that creates that, you know, that difference. And if any of you have your, you know, I was thinking about Cynthia. Since Cynthia shared in the talking circle how she is very good at compiling evidence. And I feel that that's one of her forms of creativity. Is she's very organized and analytical in that sense. But that's a creative aspect of herself. And it's very important for her to recognize that and for her to express that, even if it's not towards what she had to do before, but maybe towards different things, like maybe event planning or, you know, finding a job that, really utilizes those skills like administrative, or anything like law, would be ideal for her. So does anybody else have different forms of creativity that they want to share today? Oh.
I love to sing, and I like painting. I also have my own restaurant business.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Are you the chef in the restaurant, or do you do more of the organizational skills?
I'm more front of the house, but me and my husband came up with like Pakistani American food together.
That's amazing. I love when you can take two cultures and really, combine them and make it your authentic self, right? Because that's not really offered anywhere else, and it makes your restaurant unique to itself. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that. And sorry, what's your name?
Alma.
Alma?
Yes.
Thank you. Did anybody else want to share the way that they are creative?
Singing. I like singing. So, and on Thursday, I'm going to be singing with my brother. If you don't know who my brother is, his name's Logan Stats. You got to Google him because he's kind of famous. And so I am singing as his background singer, which is super awesome. But yeah, I love singing. I teach my kids, like, we sing everything. Like if we're cutting up potatoes, we're cutting up potatoes. And they just know that we sing our day away. So singing.
Awesome, Lila. Thanks for sharing that. Dana, did you want to say something?
Yeah, for me, mine comes out in a couple of ways. So I sew quilt panels. So I do quilting. Or it's more like embroidery, kind of, because I don't actually do the quilt, I just do a panel. So it's more like the embroidery. And then I also, I'm a creative when it comes to mixing essential oils.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that's
both of those things. Don't underestimate just the panel, because that takes a lot of focus. That takes a lot of effort.
Oh yeah.
I have a couple of quilts that my husband's aunt actually, so I guess it would be my aunt-in-law, made for us, for my son, and then for our king size bed. And I just am amazed by, the detail work that is required to create that large, that large bird's eye view of a blanket. So don't underestimate that. That's beautiful. And then the essential oils, those are great tools to have in order to really help you explore your sensuality, which we're going to be covering in the next section here. So thank you, Dana, for sharing that. Evelyn, you want to?
Yeah, mine is singing as well. I grew up singing. I joined the church choir back in Germany with my parents when I was 10 years old, and singing just has been part of my life, and I play the keyboard. So that's mostly how my expression is, my creativity.
Awesome. Yes. I love to hear people sing. I love to sing myself. For the longest time, I wouldn't really do it too much in public, just because I didn't feel like I was a good singer. But through my mentor work with Layla and the Four Directions, I've really encouraged myself to push past that boundary that I have, or that comfort zone of expressing through song, and just really embracing my voice, which is important for many people, especially those people that have felt like they've been silenced through their lives. So yeah, thanks so much for sharing that, Evelyn. Did anybody else want to come forward? No? Okay, awesome. So thanks so much for everyone who did share there. I'm going to help you to create your healing space now. So through our creative minds, through our mind's eye imagination, our third eye, I'm going to really encourage everyone to now start to create their healing space. Okay, so again, I just want everybody to sit back in their chairs. I want them to really get into a relaxed state of being. I want you to start to feel all the surfaces, the surface that you're sitting on, the surface that your feet are resting upon. Even if you're sitting back in your chair, I want you to feel that surface that your back is resting upon. Okay, and I just want you to all start off again with this nice deep breath in, and you can close your eyes if you like. You can have them open. I just want you to feel very present and rested and relaxed within your area. Take a nice deep breath in. I'll let it out. If you feel like you need to brush yourself off again, if you weren't here to do that, go ahead. You can do that. Brush off anything that you've gathered through the day. Just completely be present within this moment right now. And I want you all just to listen to my voice. And in your mind's eye, I want you to create a nature scene. And it doesn't have to be reality. It can be whatever you would like it to be. There can be fairies. There can be grass and moss and trees, deers. There can be little pixies or gremlins. There can be mystic creatures like dragons or unicorns. I just want you to create your space within this nature. Now I want you to put yourself on a path. The path can be a dirt path. It can be a stone path. It could be a grass path. Or the path could not be seen. It could just be felt. I want you to look all around you and see the beauty that's below you, on either side of you, above you. And I want you to just take it all in. I want you to see it, sense it, hear it, taste it, smell it. And even if you want to, reach out and touch it. Take it all in. You're going to start walking down this path. And as you walk, you're going to follow the beat of your heart. Doom, 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 doom. And you're just going to allow yourself to be guided. Guided to that healing space. Intuitively, instinctively, you're going to the place that is safe, that is sacred, that is yours. You're going to come to some stairs. These stairs can be made out of any material that you would like: stone, dirt, pebbles, granite, crystal. You're going to start walking down those steps. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You've met the 4 walls of your healing space. Look at them. Are they bare? Or do they have all the tools that you need? What do they look like? What do they feel like? What does your space smell like? Can you hear anything? Is there water trickling? Is there wind blowing? Or is it silent? Breathe in that healing space. Breathe in that sacred space. Within this space, I'm going to encourage you to create comfort. It may be a crystal table. It may be a hill of pillows. It may be feathers, furs, vines, moss. But create this space where you can rest and restore and rejuvenate. I want you to go to that place and find comfort in that space. Understand that it's safe. Understand that it's healing. The energy that is stored within this space holds both the earth and the heavens. They co-create, they coexist, they work in unison with one another. As you are sitting there, I want you to take a deep breath in, and I want you to feel, sense, see the color orange. It's like a mist sprinkling down on you, all around you, penetrating every cell of your body as you breathe in and you breathe out. I want you to smell the orange. I want you to taste the orange. What does orange taste like to you? What does orange smell like to you? As this mist penetrates every single cell, it's going to release and awaken the sacredness that's within you, that's around you, above you, below you, beside you, behind you, and in front of you. This mist reminds you of the sacred woman that you are. Sacred woman I am. With bare feet I walk across the river of stone. Water in my blood and the earth in my bones. Tend a fire in my heart so I am
Never alone.
Sacred woman I am. I'm going to repeat that, and Layla, you can join along if you like. Sacred woman I am. With bare
feet I walk across
the river stones. Water in my blood and the earth in my
bones. I
tend the fire in my heart so I am never alone. Sacred woman I am. You are sacred. You are balanced. You are present. And you are here. You are one. We're going to return to those steps, but before we do, I want you to understand that this is your healing space. You can come back to it at any time, in any instant. And every time you do come back, you can come back quicker, deeper, more connected. All the tools that you need to heal yourself are right here in this space. If you feel like you want to take a tool with you, see a box sitting in front of you. Reach out to that box and open it up. And the tool that you need will be presented to you in that box. You might not be able to see it. You might just sense it, feel it, smell it or taste it. You might even just hear it. But understand that that tool that you need in order to continue on your healing journey is right there with you. Take your time, come to the bottom of the steps. We're going to start to walk back up them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You're going to look all around you at that beautiful landscape you've created. You can give gratitude towards your healing space. Understand that no one is allowed here unless you give them permission. It is secret and sacred to you. Give gratitude to all the animals, all the land, the sky around you, as they are your healing medicines. They are your reminders, your messages of your connection to all things. I want you to walk back through your path. Boom, 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 boom. Back to the spot in which you started. I'm going to bow in gratitude. Breathe it all in. And then release it. And just return back to our room here in the present moment. in the now. Welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed that meditation. I utilize that on a regular basis, especially when, I'm feeling like I'm kind of lost in the sense of not knowing what I need at the moment. And, that box that presents in front of me always seems to have that specific tool or that message or that reminder of what it is that I need in that moment. So I encourage you all to utilize that meditation and see the creativity that flows from you. Your walls might change. My healing space at first was very simple, and now when I go back, there's new things added all the time. I have moss growing on the walls, and I have waterfalls trickling down here and there, and everything that just really fills me up inside, I've created for my healing space. So I encourage you all to return there on a regular basis and use that creative mind of yours and create that healing space for yourselves. So does anybody have any questions before we move on to the next slide? We're okay? Excellent. So we're going to move on to sensuality here. So what is sensuality? Sensuality is being fully present in our bodies, okay? So moving through the world with all of our senses awakened. Sense and body awareness. This is one of the things that they're really starting to target in schools these days, which I'm so thankful for. My husband and I actually just went to a Montessori school this morning to check out for our son. He just turned 2, but they have a waiting list, so I thought that I would hop on it because I feel that that's a very important tool for him to have and acquire and utilize. And they really gear a lot of their learning towards this sense and body awareness. And through my experience as an osteopath and a massage therapist, there are so many people that are disconnected from this. It's not that they don't have it, it's just that they're disconnected from it. So it's very important for us to encourage ourselves to understand our sensuality. So, of course, our sensuality includes our smell, our touch, our sight, our sound, our taste, and our feeling sense. A lot of people leave the sixth sense out, and it's a true indicator of the environment that's around us, the environment that's within us. So we should never really ever dismiss this, that intuitive nature that we all have. We really need to learn to accept it and embrace it, just as all of the other senses. Okay, so we need to learn to trust our own senses, and this allows us to gain independence. It builds confidence in our awareness in our own senses. Okay, so it's really important for us to explore our sensuality. There's a lot of people out there that just stick to the usual stuff. When it comes to taste, they always order the same thing in a restaurant. Or when it comes to smells, they gear their essential oils, for instance, towards things that they prefer. But I really want to encourage all of you to step outside of that bias mentality. I want you to really explore the sensations that you get when you smell pungent things or when you taste bitter things, because they're part of our senses for a reason, and we need to really encourage ourselves to stimulate them even if we don't like them, because after a while, trust me, you end up starting to like them. I started with edible herbs a few years ago, and I started eating dandelion. And dandelion is very, very bitter. But after a couple of years of eating them on a regular basis, I've really acquired a taste for them, and now my body craves them every now and again. And then understanding the health benefits of what dandelions actually create, they're a detoxification, right? So we need to utilize that herb and understand that that bitter is a part of our taste senses for a reason. So encouraging you to get past your bias and explore beyond that, and sense in your body why you don't like it, right? And understand it to its fullest capacity. Maybe you're just not familiar with it, especially taste. They say that our taste buds, it takes like 10 times for us to taste something in order for us to understand whether we truly like it or not. So anybody who has young children out there, the first time that you give it to them, don't expect them to like it right away. Give it to them, 10 times and see if they actually grow a liking towards it. So, this last point here, sensuality is vital in developing our discernment and our constraint. Okay, so the last chakra therapy that we were utilizing was all about the root chakra. And the root chakra, we were talking about boundary setting, and boundary setting is, based on those 5 different things that we talked about: safety, security, love, health, and truth. Okay. So this is how we truly develop discernment instead of judgment. We're not looking to say that things are right or wrong. We're truly trying to look at them to see if they're safe for us, if they're secure for us, if they're healthy for us, if they're loving towards us, and if they are our truth. Okay, so our developing our sensuality really helps us to build and develop this discernment as well. And then constraint, right? Because we understand whether something is helpful or whether something is harmful. And that's what you want to go towards instead of going whether it's right or wrong, whether it's helpful or harmful. So that, again, you're not coming from that judgmental place, you're coming from that place of discernment, okay? So how do we develop our awareness of the senses? You can see here in the picture, again, more child photos here, but this is a really great time for us to encourage children to explore these senses, and so that they're building a healthy sacral plexus right from the get-go. Okay, so within understanding our sensory, we want to explore ourself and our sensory exploration. So again, like I said, the key is to not hold bias when you're exploring yourself and when you're exploring your senses. So understand what those, faulty belief systems were that have been programmed into you, that have been patterned into you, and understand what is your truth. So in a sense, so we'll go back to that dandelion example. Before, I always would think that bitter meant that it was harmful, but now I've reprogrammed my brain to understand that a lot of bitter things are actually detoxification, and so they're helpful, right? So we have to really understand what the old belief system was, and then start to reprogram it with the new belief system or the new actions that we want to take, okay? And this sensory and self-exploration can go, it can go above and beyond. So we can utilize blindfolds to take out different senses. You can just sit in your nature sit spot, and you can just close your eyes and just start to listen and utilize your ears. You can put a blindfold on and have different herbs in front of you and start to taste those so that you're taking your sight out of it. And then you get the true essence of what something tastes like. Same with touch. It's a great thing to do with children. I love to put different objects, especially nature objects, into bags, like brown paper bags. And you could either blindfold them, or you can just leave them unblindfolded and get them to reach in the bag and just touch that object and see if they can, detect what that object is without looking at it, okay, or without smelling it. And then you can do, those opposite things. You can put different scents in bags or on different tissues. Essential oils are great for that. And really get yourself and children around you to smell those objects and understand, that, this scent is lavender or this scent is patchouli. Really explore those senses for yourself and then understand the association, whether they bring up a memory, whether they bring up different physical sensations in your body, whether you relax or whether you tense up. This is what sensory exploration is. You want to understand the way that your body reacts and acts to different things. So self-exploration is when we become aware of our energetic self, our mental selves, our emotional selves, and of course our physical selves. So our whole entire being, the 4 aspects of our being. And when we're doing this, we want to make sure that we're not judging. Like I said, you really want to create an environment of discernment, not judgment, okay? Not I like this or dislike this. More of, do I feel healthy when I smell this or taste this or touch this or see this? Or do I feel unhealthy? Okay, does it create a physical response of tense and tightening, or does it create a response of relaxation and restoration? Okay, so make sure also that you're in a complete acceptance of what you're experiencing at that moment in time, and then that you're observing, because we are here, all of us are here to observe and learn from that observation, okay? So when we're talking about our energetic selves, I put a picture here. This is somebody else's interpretation of energy. It's not particularly my interpretation. We all can interpret energy in different senses. So I really want you to explore your own. And when we're exploring our energetic selves, we're really looking to sense and feel the contraction and expansion of our aura, our energy field. So our energy field actually can expand out to about 15 feet beyond our body, okay? However, something that I've just learned over the last couple of years is that when you start to stretch or expand that aura, it can become porous, okay? It can become almost like Swiss cheese in a sense. And then other vibrational frequencies can get into those pores, and it can cause you to mimic that vibration. So if you're in an environment that, isn't the healthiest environment, you want to make sure that you're pillaring in. I call it the pillar. So if you had joined me on the first Reiki of the three energy channels of Reiki, there's that Sushumna. It's a pole that connects our root chakra to our crown chakra, and it runs parallel to our spine. And so I always visualize pillaring in when I feel like I'm not in the safest environment, I'm not in the securest environment. I'll pillar my energy into that Sushumna so that I draw it very close to my body, and that I'm not going to be greatly influenced or affected by any of the other energies that I may encounter when I'm in that moment, okay? But there's, there's always a flip side to everything. So there's a form of resistance that we can meet, okay? And resistance is when we are holding on to that contraction of energy, okay? So I don't want you to completely contract your energy and just hold it there, because energy has a natural contraction expansion to it, okay? I just want you to pillar into here maybe, wherever you feel comfortable. With me, I've really tested about 1 foot beyond my physical body feels comfortable to me. But within that foot, I have to still allow that expansion and contraction to occur, okay? Because if you hold on to that and you just keep a contraction on the energy field, you form what is called resistance. And this resistance can really create a lot of disease within our physical bodies, okay? In our mental, our emotional bodies as well, and obviously the energetic body as well. So you just want to be very careful and be very aware of this expansion and contraction. And then, be also aware of when you're showing too much sympathy towards somebody. You always want to hold the capacity of empathy. Excuse me. However, when it comes to sympathy, what happens is you start to expand that aura, because you want that person to be influenced by you, or that object to be influenced by you. And that leaves that vulnerability of that porous nature to occur. And when that happens, you start to almost feel like you're not yourself anymore. You start to take on their problems, thinking that their traumas or their abuses are your own. And that can cause a lot of, again, dis-ease or detriment to your own health and your own well-being. So those are things that you really want to become aware of and to become mindful of. So, like I said, energy is felt in many different forms. You might be able to feel it heat up. It might cool down with you. You might feel different pressures or lightness to occur. And you might even feel like it's molasses-like or sticky or dewy. Again, everybody feels energy in their own sense. So I don't want to, put too much of my interpretation or my perception of the way that I feel energy on you. I want you to truly explore it yourself and understand the way that you interpret energy. Does anybody want to share different sensations that they have when they feel energy? Okay. Wow. Let's move on to mental sense. Everybody with me? Everybody okay? All right. Well, like I said, so the next part of our being is our mental sense of being. So we want to really understand our mental capacity, and we really feel our mental sense of self through our nervous system. So like everybody knows, I'm a massage therapist and I'm an osteopath. So I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to science-based things. So I'm actually going to teach you a bit of anatomy tonight because I find that this is very essential to understanding our mental or emotional and our physical sense of self. Okay, so there are 2 types of nervous systems that I really want to encourage all of you to understand here. Okay, there's more than 2 nervous systems, but for our sake, we're just going to be covering the 2 nervous systems. The first one is our sympathetic nervous system, and then the second one is our parasympathetic nervous system. So our sympathetic nervous system is our fight and flight mechanism. It is our fight, flight, freeze. It it really stimulates the stress hormones in our body. Okay, so it's really important for us to understand what environments or what mental thoughts in our mental sense of self that stimulate this sympathetic nervous system. Okay, and then it's really important for us to understand our mental thoughts, our memories that stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is our rest, our rest, restore, relax, and our digestive aspect of ourselves. Okay, so this releases endorphins, epinephrine, and it allows us to, even oxytocin, it allows us to really get into that calming state of wellness, of being. So this last point here is neuromodulation. So we truly need to understand, in the mental, emotional, and physical sense of wellness, neuromodulation. Okay, and of course this is a big word because it's an anatomical word, but what it really means is to fire from a sympathetic response back down to a parasympathetic, up to a sympathetic, back down. So it's almost like we're, riding the waves, or we're riding a hill, hills and valleys, right? Ebb and flow, the yin and the yang. We want to create balance through the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, because so many people out there these days are just riding on that sympathetic response, and they're diagnosed with post-traumatic stress syndrome, anxiety, depression, because their body, their mind, their emotions are continually firing, fight, flight, freeze, and you're not allowing, or they're not understanding the tools in which they have already within themselves to drop back down into that parasympathetic response. And this is important in order for us to live in a well state, in order for us to live in a balanced state. So this is another sense that we have to really raise our awareness towards, is the sense of balancing between the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Okay, so our left brain, which is our right body, okay, because it crisscrosses, is our masculine energetic form. It's our analytical, our mathematical, our writing side of our brain, our science side of our brain, okay? And then, of course, the left, sorry, I'm getting confused here. Sorry, the right side of the brain, which is our left side of our body, is our feminine. And this has everything to do with our awareness, our creativity, our imagination, our sexuality, our sensuality, everything that we're talking about tonight. Okay, so really understand, even in your day, if half your day is at work, maybe all analytical, try and do something, in the time that you're not at work, that's utilizing the right side of your brain, that's more of the creative aspect of yourself, so that you're creating balance between those two hemispheres. Okay, so also in the mental state of sensation, we want to look at our memories. In the memory sense, we need to understand that there are two forms of memories that we hold. We have memories that are explicit memories that trigger that parasympathetic, that rest and digest, that calming state of being. And then we have our implicit memories, which trigger that sympathetic response, those memories that are traumatic, those memories that are painful and are of abuse, and just those really difficult memories or experiences that we've had in our lives. So it's really important for us to understand these two different forms of memories. And I wanted to include here, you know, how we can really heal these implicit memories, okay? Because the explicit memories are memories we want to bank, that we want to store, that we don't want to reprogram. However, the implicit memories we do want to reprogram, okay? So we need to first of all understand that we need to deactivate these memories and the energy that surrounds these memories, that charges these memories. And the way that we do that is we become aware of the memory. Okay, when it comes to trauma, I don't want you to dabble too long into that memory, okay? Because I don't want you to go back into a state of shock. A lot of people will happen is if they've been in abusive situations, if they start to recall too much into detail of that experience, they will trigger that shock response. And we don't want to go there. We want to make it more generalized, okay? So don't go into specifics, just make it generalized. So you want to be able to understand triggers. You want to be able to understand the sensations in your body if you start to look at those traumatic experiences, even in the smallest sense, okay? And you want to write them down. So, you know, again, don't go into detail because I don't want you to go into that shock state, but I want you to be able to just even, you know, generalize it. You know, if you wanted to put down dates, or if you wanted to put down body responses, you know, that that occur when you actually start to recall the experiences that you've been through. Okay, so make sure that you write them down, or that you have a space that you can share them, because sharing is important to our healing process. If you watched Layla and I's Facebook Live on Monday, you know, there's 3 steps in the healing: nature connections, quieting your mind. Through writing these experiences down allows you to quiet that mind, okay? And it brings your awareness to those triggers that it creates within your body response, within your emotional response. And then, of course, the last step in healing is sharing, okay? And share in a non-judgmental area. If you don't have a friend that you can share with, if you don't have a human being that you can share with, have a journal, okay? Write everything in your journal. If you don't want somebody to see it, burn it afterwards, all right? Tell a tree, tell a squirrel. Find a safe environment that you can share. You need to openly share about the experiences that you've been through in order for you to be able to move through them and heal from them, okay? And then, of course, understand and accept that that happened to you. It's not happening to you. It happened to you, okay? So it's not you at this moment in time. It was something that you had to go through, but it is not you, okay? And then on top of that, understand what you need to reprogram that experience, that memory. So for instance, you know, I'm going to give you an example of mine. So when I was a little girl, one of my sister's boyfriends, he decided to piggyback me. And I told him before he piggybacked me that I didn't feel comfortable with him running or jumping while I was on his back. And he told me, and he reassured me that that would not happen. Well, within the co-op that we lived in, that I was brought up in, there was an area that we used to play basketball in. And within that area, there was a curb, and the curb was probably a good 4 feet. And he decided that he was going to run and jump off of that curb with me on his back. And I was telling him, no, don't do this. And the whole time he was running towards it, I was screaming at him, no, don't do this, don't do it. And he did it. And he fell forward and I flipped off of his back and I landed right on my neck, and my body just went boom right onto the concrete parking lot that we played basketball in. Of course, it was traumatic. My sister started screaming. She thought that I had broken my neck. And I've had scoliosis ever since that, or maybe even before that. I don't know if that's truly, the trauma that created the scoliosis, but I've had a lot of back and neck issues since I was that age. And so, for me, I had to go back to, first of all, understanding that memory, understanding that sensation. And even right now, I can feel my body heating up. I can feel my shoulders starting to tighten up. In between my shoulder blades at the back, I can feel like a lump in my throat right now. Like I don't want to talk about it. I can feel the emotions rising up. You could probably hear in my voice, it's getting a little bit crackly. I start to become aware of what is linked to that experience that I had, that memory that I still hold, because every single cell has memories, and we need to become aware of those memories in order to heal them. So how did I start through that healing process? Well, I started getting therapeutic touch, massage therapy, osteopathy, so that I could reprogram within myself that sensation in my neck. So whenever somebody went around my neck, even just to lightly hold it or touch it, I would start to cringe towards it. I would start to really tense up, even my jaw. Like I can feel right now, like my cheekbones feel really tight across my jaw. And I started to, when I was younger, I started to silence my voice because I felt like nobody wants to hear what I have to say, because, I'm in a traumatic experience and that person didn't want to listen to me. So why would anybody else want to listen to me? So I've really had to, over the years, reprogram those traumas that have been associated with that specific event or with that specific memory. Okay, so it's not gonna, it's not gonna happen overnight. You're going to have to reprogram, time and time and time again. But, they say that it's 21 days or 21 times that it takes in order for your brain to be reprogrammed. So, make sure that you're continually creating a positive and safe environment for you to reprogram these traumas or these abuses or these pains or these implicit memories that you have. Okay? So does anybody have any questions towards that? Oh, we're all okay? We're on the same page? Awesome. Okay, so we're going to move forward with the emotional and physical sensations. So when it comes to emotional physical sensations, these are also expressed through our nervous system as well as our hormones and our body, and of course our 5 sense responses. So like I was talking about before, there's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. So this is how our body responds in each of these situations. So in the parasympathetic nervous system, when it's engaged, we have our sorry, I thought those were switched around, but they're not. In our parasympathetic nervous system, our pupils, they start to constrict. Okay, in our mouth starts to salivate, okay, because of course it's engaging that digestive system, okay. Our bronchioles start to constrict, and it stimulates our digestive system, like I said, and everything that is listed within this picture, this is our parasympathetic response. in our sympathetic response, we go into that fight, flight, and freeze. So our pupils dilate because we need to see everything and be aware of everything that's around us because we want to feel safe, right? So like the boundary setting, safety engages awareness. So we're alert, we're on edge. Our salvation starts to slow down because we're ready to flee, right? So we're not in that state of relaxation. Our heart rate starts to increase. We start to get really sweaty. Our pores start to dilate because we start to heat up because we're ready to go, all right? So we really have to understand what emotions that are triggered create that physical body sensation of either being calm and relaxed and restored, or whether it's creating a sympathetic response, which is, ready to flee and fight or even go into shock and freeze, okay? So we also have to understand here in the physical sense, our natural impulses. And a lot of people have a lot of faulty or untruth behind natural impulses, including myself. I remember, I'm going to share a story about Layla and I. So I hope she'll be okay with it. So Layla and I, when we used to have sleepovers when we were teenagers, we would wake up in the morning and of course our bodies started functioning. So we would be farting up a storm, right? Flatulence everywhere. And so Layla and I used to play a game to see who could fart the loudest because it just made it fun, right? Teenage girls just having a fart competition. And so so this really reprogrammed me because when I was younger, I was always shamed about farting. In elementary school, I remember I was sick the one time and I started coughing and farts came out. And, everybody in the classroom started laughing and it felt like they were laughing at me. So for the longest time, I wouldn't allow my body functions to naturally respond the way that they were supposed to. And that caused a lot of digestive issues for me. It caused a lot of irritable bowel syndrome. And it just caused a lot of discomfort within my digestive tract because I was holding something in that is natural. And so it's important for us to recognize that these things are our natural sensations and that our autonomic nervous system, which is a third part of our nervous system, is really in control of these things, and that we should not, and they're automatic, okay? Autonomic nervous system means automatic, and it's not for us to be in control of them. Burping, farting, yawning, sneezing, coughing, these are all healthy aspects of our being. And so it's very important for us to recognize whether we have been led into faulty beliefs behind this, that it's inappropriate or we should not be doing it, or there's specific areas of the house that you can perform this act in versus not perform this act in. So we really need to understand the brain patterning behind that and understand that these are false belief systems and that we need to reprogram them. We also need to have a sense of our posture, okay? Posture is very important to our overall health. We need to understand the alignment. And the way that I was always taught about posture is that you want to pretend that there's a string on the top of your head and somebody is pulling it, okay? Don't stick your chin out. You want to draw it in. Your ears should be in alignment with your shoulders, which should be in alignment with your hips, which should be in alignment with your ankle bones. Okay, so it's very important for us to be aware of holding a proper posture so that everything functions at its greatest capacity, so that we're the healthiest we can possibly be. Okay? If you start to hunch forward, which is a lot of people's postures these days, is a forward posture because we're driving the car, we're sitting at a desk, we're on the computer, we're looking at our phones. This creates a lot of tension and tightness within the front body. Okay, and it causes a lot of overstretching or hypermobility in the back of the body. But with a lot of people, they feel like the pain is within the back of the body, so they start to stretch it even more. And this is, is a faulty sense. We actually need to stretch through our front body to elongate everything so that we balance that posture back, okay? And then work on contracting or exercising the back body so that the muscles can go back into a rested state and the ligaments can start to hold on again, because the ligaments are meant to hold on and the muscles are actually meant to be relaxed. They're not meant to be tight constantly. Okay, so that's just a tidbit of the massage therapy and osteo realm of understanding our physical sensation and awareness. The last thing I want to talk about is understanding the sense of our breath. Being aware of your breath is vital to our existence. It's part of our boundary of survival, okay? Understand, whether you're in a moment of stress and you're not breathing in, and understand when you're, not breathing out, because this really connects us to the earth energies and the heaven energies. And because we are earth beings and we're spiritual beings, we need to be fully connected to both the inhalation and the exhalation. And we don't want to manipulate this too much, okay? Unless, it's resisted in any sense, unless it's constricted in any sense, okay? So just really become observant of this and just listen to the breath and try to create equality between, the inhalation and the exhalation. You don't want to shallow breathe. That creates a lot of tension through the front of the neck and through the upper rib cage, and it can cause a lot of detriment to your diaphragm. You really want to engage that diaphragm. Your diaphragm is the main pump of your body, and it really moves those vital organs, your digestive organs, your kidneys, your liver, which detoxifies you. So you really want to belly breathe, you do that yogic breathing. And that's why Buddha was depicted with that big belly, because they really wanted to encourage people to understand that it's healthy to have a belly sticking out than it is for a belly sticking in. And that's another belief system that we really have to reprogram. A lot of our society says that we need to be thin, we need to be skinny, we shouldn't have a belly sticking out. Well, that's actually quite false. Our belly should always be protruding out. We want to be filling that belly completely with breath and then emptying it again. The breath should not be in the chest. It should always be in the belly. Okay, so, if you're noticing that your breath is not healthy, then take one hand and place it on your chest and then the other hand on your belly and start to breathe in and try to push that hand that's on your belly outwards, and allow that hand on your chest to be completely and utterly relaxed. Okay, so you don't want to feel your chest going out and in. That should be very stationary or just little movement, and then the belly should be the actual thing that's raising and falling. Okay, so let's look at trauma and how it affects our senses. I just want to move this over here. So this is actually a word that has just been presented to me over the last few months. so I apologize if I don't pronounce it properly, but Alexithymia. I tried. Okay, so what this word actually means is the inability to feel one's emotions. And it's very common in people that have been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress syndrome. Okay, so this inability to associate an emotion that you're experiencing and the physical sensation that comes with it. How do we heal this? So first of all, with victims that cannot discern what emotion they are feeling, first of all, with people that can't feel or understand the emotions that they're feeling, that can't, that even have faulty patterns. So Jacqueline was talking about this in the talking circle on Monday. And she was saying that she had been exposed to so many people expressing anger, but this anger was expressed in very violent manners, very abusive manners. And so I really want, first of all, for people to understand that we need to feel our emotions, okay? But we need to understand that our emotions that are felt do not have to lead to abusive or unhealthy actions. And we also need to understand that our responsibility in accountability of ourselves is recognizing the actions that we take. So understanding the emotion that we're sensing, and then what action is what action you decide to take after having that emotion, because you can reprogram that connection there. So, you know, for instance, if somebody feels anger, they should feel anger. However, their anger does not have to mean that they're punching holes through walls. Their anger does not have to mean that they're harming somebody or they're hurting somebody. But they still need to feel that anger, because that anger is serving them in some sort of way. So it's important for us to recognize the emotions and understand the physical sensations that come with those emotions. The people that are victimized or that have this post-traumatic stress syndrome, they are skilled in even not feeling sensations. So an emotion will present, but then they become very stoic and very still within their reaction or their action towards that emotion. And that's not healthy either, right? So we have to reprogram that. And I'm going to give you ways in which you can do that in a moment, but I wanted to touch on this last point. So we really have to understand that victims also don't even know how to express their emotion or feel their emotion. Okay, so it's really important to encourage people to associate, you know, what am I experiencing right now? What am I sensing right now? And what am I feeling with that? So am I feeling sad? Am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I feeling anger? Right? And so really start to explore those feeling sensations, and even the energetic feeling sensations. You know, when I walk into the room and everything starts to tense up, why is it tensing up? Do I feel unsafe? Do I feel insecure at this moment? And everything that you feel is okay to feel, but you need to understand the connection between that sensation and the emotion that comes with it in order for you to be able to move through it, learn from it, and be able to recognize it and be aware of it in the future. Okay, so how do we link this emotional and physical sensation, especially for these people that have been victimized and traumatized? It's through that therapeutic touch, like I told you before. You know, when I started having the physical pain in my neck, I didn't get to have it right away because I was young. But when I got older and I started into massage therapy school, and they started manually touching and manipulating my neck, all of these implicit memories started to come back into my memory, especially ones that I suppressed. And so it's really important for you to find a therapist that is going to empower you, that is going to allow you to kind of run the therapeutic session, okay? You have to be the lead in it. And you have to do this through communicating to them the traumas that you've experienced, okay? And then getting them to empower you to the point where you are the one who is allowed to control the session. So, you know, if a session starts to create too much emotional response and you don't feel comfortable with it, you have to feel like you can tap out at any time. So, you know, completely empower yourself, completely allow yourself to say, I can't handle that pressure, or I can't handle you touching this part of my body in that way, in that shape or form anymore. And so either you need to move on to another part of my body, or you need to stop touching me altogether. Because we really want to reprogram, you know, that traumatic experience, that traumatic association with that touch feeling, and reprogram it with a pleasurable sensation. We want you to feel an explicit association, so that you're going into that parasympathetic nervous response, that rest, restore, and relaxation. So the question here is, how do I act or react to the environment, my internal and my external environment? So this is an awesome question to be asking yourself on a regular basis when you're trying to heal this aspect of yourself, this emotional and physical aspect. Awesome. So how are my ladies doing? Evelyn, are you doing okay? Dana? You guys okay? Are you ready for another meditation here?
Yes, absolutely okay.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So before we get into sexuality, we're going to explore a meditation in sensuality. Okay. So I'm just going to bring it back to this slide so we can stay focused on this part. So I'm going to get you all to come back to this place where you can feel your feet grounded, completely touching the floor below you, your bum touching the chair underneath you, your back touching the seat that you are sitting in. I want you all to close your eyes, kind of bring your sense of sight out of the equation for now. And I want you to start to become aware of your breath. And I don't really want you to manipulate it or take a deep breath in or anything. I just want you to just completely and utterly accept where your breath is at this moment in time. You're breathing in and out. Maybe even putting your one hand on your chest and then the other one on your belly, and just, you know, feeling whether you do diaphragmatically breathe or whether you apically breathe through your chest. And again, don't try to change it at this moment. Just accept it. Ease into it. Feel it. And so I'm going to get you to actually bring your hands into prayer position right in front of your heart. I'm going to lead you through a couple of steps of Reiki here. So I want you to imagine the earth energies coming up into your heart center when you breathe in. When you breathe out, I want you to see the heaven energies come into your heart, where these two energies coexist, they co-create. They are you. This energy is actually the color of green. So if you'd like to visualize that, see those energies come together and shine, almost like a Care Bear, but through the back of you and through the front of you. And this green energy is going to completely engulf you, almost like an egg, surrounding you, above, beside, in front of you, behind you, below you. You're going to feel this green energy move down your arms, across your shoulders, down your arms, into your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, making its way into your hands. You're going to become completely and utterly aware of the sensation between the two palms of your hands touching. I want you to feel the space that's in between your hands. Just breathing in and out the earth and the heavens, and seeing that coexistent energy pooling into your hands. Then we're going to bring our hands, once you feel ready, up to our eyes. We're just going to lightly cover our eyes with our hands. Now I want you to become aware of that sensation in between your hands and your eyes. I want you to become aware of your eyes. How do they feel? Do they feel like there's pressure on them or behind them? Do they feel tired? Do they feel alive and alert? Not trying to change it, just completely accepting it for what it is. Feeling that, seeing that green, coexistent energy surrounding them. As you have your hands here placed on your eyes, do you feel, sense, taste, smell, hear any other sensations going on in your body, going on around your body? Don't try to change them, just be aware of them. As we move our hands to our ears, you can put them completely over top of your ears, you can put them above your ears. I want you to feel that space in between your hands and your ears. Did anything change within the hearing? as you placed your hands on your ears. Or any memories coming up. Are you feeling any tension, any relaxation? Maybe in your shoulders or your neck, in your jaw. Don't try to change it. Just become aware of it. Accept it. Did your taste change? Did that sensation around your eyes change when you put your hands to your ears? Did your hands change? Are they hotter or colder? Do they feel clammy? Do they feel light? Do they feel heavy? Now we're going to bring our hands to our throat. I like to put one hand on the back of my neck and one hand on the front. You can put both on the front, both on the back. Whatever you feel drawn to. Become aware of the tension, the release. Do you feel hot? Do you feel cold? Do you feel calm? Do you feel overwhelmed? Don't try to change it. Just accept it. Did your breathing change? Are you feeling lightheaded? Are you feeling grounded? Now I want you to move your hands to the top of your chest, where your heart is located. Put one hand on top of each other. You can put your hands beside one another. Become aware of the sensation between your hands and your chest. Become aware of the sensation throughout your body. How do your toes feel? How do your feet feel? Tops and bottom. How do your calves feel? How do your shins feel? How do your knees feel? How do your thighs feel? What sensation do you have in your buttocks? In your pelvis? In your lower abdomen? In your diaphragm, where your ribs meet? In your back, your lower back, your middle back, your upper back, your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, your fingers, your neck, your ears, your face, your lips, your nose, your eyes, your head, your forehead, the back of your head, the top of your head. Feel it all. Be aware of it all. Don't try to change it. Just be with it. I'm going to get you to move your hands down to where those ribs meet, into that diaphragm. I want you to become aware of whether your breath is moving through this area. Whether you're tense or relaxed, whether you feel restrictions when you breathe in or when you breathe out. Don't try to change it. Just observe it. Be aware of it. And I'm going to get you to move your hands down to your groins or the tops of your thighs. Again, become aware of every part of your body. The top of your head, your forehead, the back of your head, your ears, your eyes, your nose, mouth, your neck, front and back, your shoulders, your arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, your palms, your fingers, your chest, your upper back, your middle back, your belly, your lower back, your pelvis, your bum, the backs of your thighs, the fronts of your thighs, your knees, both front and back, your shins, your calves, your ankles, your feet, the tops and the bottoms, and your toes. I want you just to wiggle those toes a little bit. Wiggle your fingers. I'm going to get you to snap your fingers or clap your hands. Come back into the room. You can open your eyes. I'm going to take a drink. I can feel myself getting a little thirsty. Oh, that got me to go very deep, this one. So I need to make sure I'm focusing back in on this presentation here. So I'm gonna snap a little bit, wake myself up, pat myself, bring myself back a little. Oh, that was a good one. I hope you all enjoyed as well.
Yes, it was. It was very good.
Excellent. So the last part of this presentation that we're going to talk about tonight is sexuality, okay, and the healthy development of sexuality. So sexuality is not something that we're born with. This is actually something that we develop, kind of like our sensuality, because we're all born out of oneness, and this oneness allows us to be in unison with our earth mothers, or with our physical mothers rather, because we rely upon them for survival needs. And so we don't feel separated from them in any sense when we're born out of this oneness. And so, that's where our root chakra is developed, is when we are truly born, conceived. But the sexuality is something that we're taught. This is formed when we integrate both the dualities of the energy centers or channels of what is called Ida and Pingala. Okay, so Ida and Pingala is the two serpents that wrap around that pole that I was talking about, the Sushumna, which connects our Sushumna connects our root chakra with our crown chakra, whereas Ida and Pingala are the serpents that wrap around that form every other chakra center that's in between. So the second through the sixth chakra. Okay, so within our sexuality, or within our sacral plexus, this is when we start to truly understand our dualistic nature of being an earth being. Okay, so both our feminine and our masculine energies that are within everyone. Okay, and it's important for us to understand the characteristics of this dualistic nature, and then bring them back into the sacred place, the sacral plexus, so that they can be expressed and really formed through the waters of our sacral plexus, because the sacral plexus is actually the element of water. And the element of water, it represents our emotions. So you can see where it starts to all tie in together here. Okay, so sexuality is truly a form of adult play. All right, so I want to share an experience that I had when I first started to mentor with Andrea Connell, my Reiki master mentor. I started to talk to her about sexuality, and I started to feel almost shamed in a sense of the sexual partners that I've had in my past. And she really encouraged me to understand that it's not for me, again, to judge what I've experienced in the past, because everything that I've experienced has served me in some way, shape, or form. But it is for me to reflect upon that, to understand how it has served me. And it's really for us to encourage one another to understand that sexuality is just a form of play, but it's an adult form of play. Okay, so when it comes to understanding the hurt and the harm that people who have been sexually abused, it's gone beyond that constraint of understanding that this is for adults. It's not for children to explore with adults. Okay, so understanding that healthy mentality behind it. And sexuality is a very influential and potent energy, and it's considered to be our creative juice of the universe. All right, so you can see how this powerful energy can be abused and can be manipulated on many different levels. And so it's very important for us to develop our sensuality, so that we develop discernment and constraint before we develop our sexuality. Sexuality allows us to become closely connected with pleasure, desire, and intimacy. So here are the 5 building blocks of healthy sexuality. So the first one, very much like our boundary setting, is safety and security. So in a healthy foundation for sexual wellness, we need to feel safe, of course, and we need to feel secure in order to really surrender to this pleasure experience. And it's dependent upon communication. So being able to communicate to yourself how you feel safe, what environments make you feel safe, and communicate to your partner if you have one. So become aware and share your fears, your worries, your past abuse, and the traumas that you've been through, if you have. Become aware and share your triggers with yourself, first and foremost, of course, and then also with your partner. So like I said, it's very important for you to understand, that mental sensation, that emotional, and that physical sensation, because they all go hand in hand, and to really be able to express what triggers that sympathetic response versus that parasympathetic response. So, for some people, including myself, I love to have Epsom salt baths. I love essential oils. Those really create a parasympathetic response for myself. And so, in order for me to get to that place where I can receive pleasure, I need to engage that parasympathetic response. So I'll generally encourage myself and my partner to take a bath, or to, massage each other with essential oils, because it allows for me to create that safety and that security, that environment that I need in order to receive the pleasure experience and to give a pleasurable experience. So create a safe and secure environment for you to play, because again, it's all about adult play here. Okay, so somewhere you can feel free to have fun. All right, so make sure that you're in that type of environment. And if you don't feel comfortable, you need to express that, because especially us as women, we have a tendency to stay on our minds a lot. And even, there's sometimes that we'll be in the midst of being intimate with our partner, and we'll be thinking about the grocery list, and we need to get out of that sympathetic. We need to get out of our brains, and we need to get into our bodies. Okay. So we have to understand again that our sacral plexus is our sacred space. We are sacred beings. And within understanding that, we need to know and be empowered that we choose who and what are allowed in this environment, and that we choose who and what are allowed to flow out of this environment. Okay, so really start to empower yourself in understanding what makes you feel safe and secure in order for you to surrender to that pleasure. Okay. And then you also want to learn to conserve this this potent sexual energy. So a lot of the traditional Chinese medicine, they really get people to understand about the energy, the exchange that happens between a male and a female when it comes to intimacy and sexual intercourse, and even orgasm in that sense. And what happens with women is we actually receive...
Is it just me, or is your screen frozen?
Can you see this have a safe word? Dana, are you there? Can you see whether the screen is frozen on your end? Do you see those things disappear there, Evelyn? Can you hear me?
I see it. Yes, it's fine on my end.
Okay. Oh, Evelyn, are you starting to catch up, or?
Yeah, I am here. I thought that maybe it was cut off because it went over 2 hours. Is that it?
Oh, I'm not too sure. But are we okay to go ahead?
I am, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so in the traditional Chinese medicine sense, they really encourage you to understand the exchange that happens between the male and the female. The female is the one, when you exchange that orgasm, that they receive the energy. And that's why, you know, a lot of women feel like they have a lot of energy after they've had that sexual exchange, whereas the man feels really depleted in the sense, because he is giving himself to that woman. And so, you know, that's a very vulnerable state to be in. So we really need to understand that, that sexual energy exchange that comes with, you know, the orgasm, both from a female and a male perspective. So then the second part of the building block here is sensuality. So like we've already explored before, we want to become aware of our senses and our body awareness. Okay, and I gave you the tools that you can utilize in the past, in that part of the presentation, to explore our smell, our touch, our taste, our sight, our sound, and then that feeling sense. Okay, so the question here is, what are your likes and your dislikes? So before I said to you, you know, don't really go for your biases or your likes or your dislikes, but here when it comes to sexuality, you want to understand what your likes and your dislikes are, and you want to share those with your partner, because your goal is to have a pleasurable experience. You don't want to feel displeasure in these moments and times, because that's not what you're focusing on. You're focusing on getting to that orgasmic state, getting to that pleasurable state, that desired state of being. So really explore what your likes and dislikes are here. The third block of the 5 in sexuality is sexuality. And so we need to really understand that we need to surrender to this play and this pleasure. So you want to make sure that you're not expecting a certain outcome when it comes to sexuality. You want to just be in the moment. You want to get out of your brain and completely into your body and be in that moment, in that time. And then you really want to learn about giving and receiving, okay? It's very, I guess, odd or not very, it's not in a normal sense for you to be able to give and receive at the exact same time. Eventually, you learn to do that through programming yourself to, but it's important for us to start off with understanding how we can give, and then understanding also how we can receive. So I really wanted to touch base on this, these characteristics. I just added this morning because of, you know, that talking circle that happened on Monday. A lot of people don't understand what the characteristics of feminine energy are, of a mother energy, or the healthy characteristics of a masculine or a man energy. And this is really important for us to develop not only our sexuality, but it's also very important for us to understand, to develop a healthy relationship. Okay, so Layla was talking about how, you know, coming from the reservation and her family being put into residential schools, that love wasn't really expressed. Okay, and so between her and her mother, she's had a lot of reprogramming that she's had to do so that she's showing more love towards her children, because her mother didn't get to experience that with her mother, and you know, in generational sense, it went through her ancestry because of this residential manipulation. Okay, so we really need to understand what is a giver, what is a feminine energy. And feminine energy, a giver, is nurturing. It's our universal mother, or our earth mother. It's procreation and beauty, security, and the comforts of home. It's domestic harmony. It's harvest. It's fruition. It's earthly abundance. It's fertile. It's our goddess and love energy. And it's desire and pleasure. So it's really important for us to understand that feminine energy, being in a motherly energy, means that we're in harmony, that we're patient, that we're using our intuitive nature, and that we're gentle. Okay? So, the giver is all of those characteristics, whereas the receiver is more the masculine energy. And masculine energy is characterized by an authority or a warrior. And I want to encourage people to understand authority versus control, okay? Making a suggestion towards what is safe or using discernment is coming from a place of authority, whereas trying to manipulate or control somebody has nothing to do with masculine energy or the receiver. It has to do with detached ego. So we want to get away from that, and we want to get more into the understanding of authority and warrior, okay? A receiver in a masculine energy is also passive kindness. So, I look at my husband, for instance. There are a lot of the times where we have discussions and, he could sit in a place and say, no, I'm right, but he doesn't. He sits in a place of passiveness because he'd rather not fight about something, and he'd rather just have contentment there. This is a passive kindness, okay? He doesn't want to put me down in any sense. He doesn't want to reprimand me in any sense. He just wants us to come back to a place of ease, okay? So this is passive kindness. Willing to fight for what's right, okay? So again, I always ask you to, get away from judgment, get into more of discernment. And this is more of a willingness to fight for the discernment of what is healthy and what's loving and kind and what's safe and secure. So all of those aspects of boundary setting. Okay, so that's what I would consider being right in this sense. They are the protector. They keep us safe. They are the executive. So they really want to encourage healthy programming. They want to encourage healthy aspects of ourselves. And this is not just with men, it's within us as well, within us as women. It's part of our dualistic nature. So these are parts of our masculine energy within us as women as well. Our worldly power. So a lot of people hide and retreat from their power because they're too afraid of really embracing it. But this is part of our masculine energies, and it's something for us to embrace. Of course, father figures are the masculine energies. Our ideals or our morals are part of our masculine energies. Our aspirations, our goals are part of our masculine energy. Our solidarity or security is part of the masculine energy. And then, of course, our wisdom and our teachers. And who would have thought that, in my mind, my father wasn't present in my life. So I didn't have a healthy understanding of what masculine energy was. And for me to think about, the wisdom keeper or the teacher, I would have never have associated it with a masculine energy. I would have always thought it was a feminine energy. And the reason why I had that faulty understanding is because my mother was the only teacher there. My mother was the only wisdom keeper there, right? So it's really great to start to associate, especially through my husband and my husband's father, this wisdom keeper, this teacher that's within the masculinity. And then, of course, self-reliance and logic. So then let's look at the fourth building block to this healthy development of our sexuality. And this has all to do with exploration. So like when we were talking about sensuality, we want to explore, and we want to explore in a healthy manner. So exploration in sexuality is self-discovery and building trust. Okay, building trust within our own experiences, within our own pleasures, within our own desires, within our own sensuality, and then discovering within ourselves what our pleasurable experiences are, what our desires are. You know, there was a workshop that the Women's Connection offered with a sex therapist, and you know, she asked everybody on the workshop what their desires were. And she asked several of the people to share those desires. And a lot of them had different desires, but they didn't align with my desire. And every time that I heard them, I was like, that, you know, that doesn't resonate with me, that doesn't sit with me. And so it took me a bit of time. So I wasn't able to share what my desires were. But, you know, everybody has an array of desires. There's some women that want to experience pleasurable experience with other women. There's some women that want to have pleasurable experiences with, you know, multiple men, or both genders, or, you know, there's some women like myself that have discovered that I want to be able to have pleasurable, everlasting pleasure with my husband, and to really reprogram within me that faulty belief that two people can't, you know, fully embrace and love and continually have exploration with one another for several years throughout their lives together. Because, you know, in my upbringing, my mother, you know, was with several different partners. So that was what was programmed within me, is that you could never have, you know, just that one partner. And so, you know, this is my desire to meet, is to truly understand that you can have just one partner, and to have, you know, everlasting exploration and pleasure and desire and intimacy with one another. So, you know, there's a whole array of self-discovery that we should all take. And it's just through exploration that we can build that. And through, you know, trusting within our senses, that we understand what our pleasures are, what our dislikes are, okay? And sharing that with our partner. So, you know, developing and creating healthy sets of sexual core beliefs. What is your truth? Does your beliefs align with what your deepest sexual desires are, like I just shared with you? And really exploring that aspect of yourself. Okay, and then also creating a playground of new pleasurable possibilities by exploring your self pleasures. So, you know, one of the things that Dr. Hazel Grace is her name, has suggested is to try and feel different things. So one of the things that she enjoys is a fork actually being scraped along her skin. And, you know, right off the hop, you know, I start to think, oh, I don't think I would like that. But then you start to try these things and you're like, wait a second, I actually do have a sense of joy when I have that feeling. And then it brings back an explicit memory of, you know, my mom scratching my head, or, you know, so don't, you know, rule self-exploration, don't rule sensory exploration out right off the hop just because you think that you don't like it. Explore it, really try to feel it, you know, and do different things, different sensations, feathers and you know, even stones, like try different stones, the senses of the different stones. This is a smooth stone and I really enjoy it, but I have some different beads that are more texturized and I really enjoy touching those as well, and sensing what different body senses those arise within me. You know, the textured beads create more of a security sense, whereas the smooth stone creates more of a calming sense for me. So really starting to associate that sensation with the emotion and with the physical body. So share your sexual desires, you know, and your fantasies. Again, if you don't feel that it's safe for you to do that with your partner, grab a journal, burn the pages after, talk to a tree, talk to a squirrel, even talk to yourself, but you need to share them and you need to get them out there into the open, so that you're empowering yourself. You're declaring that you deserve to have these desires met, okay? You don't need people judging you for the desires that you have. You just need to understand that you desire these things, whether they come, you know, they come into full manifestation or not. It's just a desire that you have, okay? And then the last one, of course, is understanding our sacredness. So we are sacred. You are a sacred being. And bringing us back to that, understanding that our sexuality is a sacred thing and we're meant to explore it. It's part of us being an earth being. Okay? And to connect to our divine by using our human body. We weren't given this human body to ignore our sexuality. We were given this human body to embrace it. And so it's for us to really reprogram, you know, faulty belief systems behind that we aren't supposed to desire, or we aren't supposed to have pleasure, or we're not supposed to have sex. You know, these are very faulty beliefs. God wouldn't have created us the way that we have been created if we weren't supposed to explore these things, okay? So you can really reach higher states of consciousness through this awareness of our sacredness, through this awareness of connection to both the divine, the heavens, and the earth. So connection to source through the sexual energy. And there's different books that you can, you know, explore. I have this Karma Sutra book that I've, you know, read a couple of times. I also have this Urban Tantra book, and a lot of the focus that comes behind these books is really engaging breath and engaging energetic sensations that come from just even holding one another. You know, sex doesn't mean that it has to be sexual intercourse. It can simply be that you are holding and hugging one another. It can be holding hands. It's just creating pleasurable experiences between two people, or even with yourself. Okay, so again, you know, a lot of faulty belief behind, you know, masturbation or you know, self pleasure, and understanding whether that aligns with your belief system or not. You know, whether that's, you know, a lot of people were taught that it was inappropriate. You know, my mother never ever said that it was inappropriate to me. She just said, you know, you might want to pick and choose where you're actually doing that. You might want to do it in your bedroom so that your sisters don't shame you for doing that. And so, you know, create that safe environment. That's what my mother was trying to encourage me to do, right? So really understanding different forms of sacredness, of higher level consciousness that you can reach through this pleasurable sexual experiences. So Tantra, Taoism, and paganism are different avenues that you can explore. Like I said, Karma Sutra is another one as well, that you can explore into to create this sacred pleasure connection that you have within you. Okay, so become fully present in your intimacy. And intimacy, was, somebody told me once that intimacy means into me you see. So you really want to understand that you're bringing yourself to a complete state of vulnerability. And when you bring yourself to that complete state of vulnerability, that's when pleasure can be met. That's when your desires can be met. Okay? And that's when you can really make a true sacred connection, is through creating this intimacy. So this really requires you to be able to be still. Reiki is a great practice to bring in that stillness. The second meditation that we did was a Reiki hand placement meditation. And you could feel how deep that really brought you into your connection to yourself, and your connection with the earth and the universe. So bringing yourself to this state of stillness, bringing yourself to the state of acceptance with no judgment. This is very important for us to understand us as a whole being, because if we come from a place of judgment, we're going to suppress aspects of our being, and we want to try and get away from engaging that. So to wrap this whole presentation up, I have some reflection questions for you. As the medicine wheel that I always try to gear my presentations towards, there's a focal learning that we have, there's the active participation that we have, and then there's this reflection that we need to take in order for us to hit that peak of integration. What do we want to integrate into our lives from what we've taken away from this presentation tonight? So let's look at these questions that I encourage you to reflect upon. So what is your creative ways of expression? Like some of you shared earlier. What did you learn as a child about sex, about sexuality, about sensuality? And is this your truth right now? Okay, did you learn to be proud of your gender? Or, were you maybe raised, a solo parent, and you were a female and you were raised by a man, and he didn't know how to encourage you to express your feminine energies or your feminine self? Start to reflect upon those things. What was it like during your puberty? Okay, this is a very important question. Were you taught that your moon cycle or your menstrual cycle was a time to embrace, that it was a sacred time for you? Or was it encouraged within you that this time was something to dread? Or what was the terminology that was used behind it, right? So, over the years that I've been doing this Indigenous wisdom, they encourage us to utilize the term your moon time, right? And it really encourages you to understand that you are connected to the moon cycles, and that this is a sacredness of your earthly being. Whereas when I was younger, our friends would call it a rag, you're on your rag, or you're, or it's, it's that time of the month, right? So what are your associations through your puberty, and through the sacredness that a woman has to procreate? Was it my mom always used to say that she was never allowed to take baths when she was on her menstrual cycle, so she was never allowed to engage within her parasympathetic response of relaxing while she was on her menstrual cycle, which is a really important time for you to be doing that, right? So, these are things that we really want to start to trace back and reprogram for ourselves to align with what our truth is at this moment in time. Okay, so another one is, have you been valued as a sexual being, or have you been used and abused? Okay, so just really understand and become aware of what you associate with sexuality and sex, and whether you associate it with a pleasure or whether you associate it with that implicit, that kind of dreadful memory. Okay, and then the last question here, I think it's the last question, is was sexuality openly talked about in your family? Was it avoided? Was it shamed? Or was it embraced as part of your being? You know, with me, it was totally embraced. And, you know, I'm so thankful to my mother for being so open about it, because it allows me that greater capacity for me to share with all of you women the healthy development of sexuality, and not be timid about talking about this. And so I'm very thankful about that. So those are the reflection questions. I'm gonna start wrapping this up, because I know that we did go over about the 2-hour mark, but I still am very thankful for both of you ladies for, you know, sticking it in here with me. And I hope everybody who did have to part ways gets to check out the replay. Make sure that if you've had any insights or any aha moments, that you share them in the comments when we do post the replay video up for all of you ladies. And I just want to thank you all for taking the time to be here with me. And I want to invite both of you ladies to come out and, you know, just share a word of gratitude for this evening, or if you are just, you know, filled to your capacity, just to give me a smile and a wave goodbye. So I invite you all out to do that right now. So thank you. And we'll catch you at the next one. Actually, I will let you know that the next chakra therapy workshop, I'm just going to look up the date here so that you guys can put it into your calendars if you like. I'm going to be offering it on November the 14th. Okay, so again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be looking at still the sacral plexus, but we're going to be dabbling into more of the details, the characteristics of what it is, and really getting into more meditations that encourage that healthy development of the sacral plexus. So I hope to see you all then. Very, very thankful for all of you ladies, and we'll see you on the 14th. Bye. Good night.